Hello everybody and welcome to Muddy River News This Week. I'm Bob Goff. Troy Culbertson has been the administrator at the Illinois Veterans Home since 2016, and he arrived at a rather tumultuous time on the heels of a Legionella epidemic that unfortunately led to the lives of 13 of the men and women who had served us years ago. But then we got that taken care of and some new construction projects started. Then COVID hit. Of course, that was nobody's fault. But now we hope we're on past the worst of that, and now we're going to talk about some of the good things going on and a lot of the new facilities going up at the Illinois Veterans Home. Welcome.
Thank you.
So a lot of buildings underway now. Kind of give us a construction update to kick things off.
Sure. As I mentioned, we have a lot going on out there, and a lot of it was done in areas you can't even see. I'll talk about the two construction projects we have going on, but in addition to that, we're in the middle of a full electrical upgrade of the campus. A new water loop is also on the docket for the Veterans Home, which is tremendously needed.
Yeah, I was out there when doing some stories and some work out there back when you first got the filtration system put in.
Yes. Yeah, of course, that's just an additional piece, that $6 million water filtration plant that we've got. But what you see going on right now, and it is truly impressive if you're not around it much, but we have two buildings being built. We have an independent living center, which is an 80-bed independent living center for our, what we call domiciliary residents. It's an unlicensed apartment-style building. And it is the first building to be constructed and to be completed mid next year. And the second building is it's 216,000 square feet. It's a large building for 210 skilled residents. So that project is also slated to be completed in early to mid 2024.
And of course, this all comes on the heels, although it's been a while since Hammond Hall was built, because of course that was an old former private facility, Sycamore Healthcare, but the state took it over, and that was kind of the first step in trying to rebound from the Legionella incident.
It was. You could see it as a phase one or a temporary. We will, and I get asked this question a lot. So we rehabbed the old Sycamore facility. And it's full. We have 77 guys in that building. It's our nicest building that we have, too. All private rooms. But with that, I get asked the question a lot of what's going to happen to that once the 210-bed building is complete. And so I remind people that was built with partially state money and partially construction home grant through the federal VA. So it will need to stay in the VA hands for the next 40 years. So we do have a couple plans to expand services for veterans in this community, and that's what we plan on doing in Hammond Hall.
How many veterans are you currently serving, and when all the construction's finally wrapped up, how many will you be able to serve?
Yeah. So big picture first. We're currently licensed for 474 beds, both independent living and skilled. COVID has really taken a hit to our census because we slowed down those admissions coming through to make sure that we were protecting everyone. When this is all done, we're going to be almost the same at 486. So we're going to raise about 12 beds. But they're going to be new beds, and they're going to be private beds. So these were basically replacement beds. Currently we have 77 at Hammond Hall, and that is figured into the 474, and the rest of it is on our main campus.
And are we going to see the knocking down of some old buildings, or are we going to see some repurposing of some old buildings?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
So very good question. We've already knocked down 5 buildings. We have demolished, that was the first step in this construction, was to demolish 5 buildings, and they were our most critical buildings to get knocked down, ones that had the most cases back in 2015. That premise plumbing was obviously something that needed to go. So they were the first ones to go. We knocked those 5 buildings down. We do still have one more building to come down. It does have residents in it right now, but as soon as the construction is done and we move those veterans over to the new building, we'll be demolishing that building. It's part of this project. So, like I said, we'll be moving people around just a little bit.
The company that's doing the work, Veterans United Constructors, they're a group out of a couple of different companies out of St. Louis and East Peoria. And of course, the total cost on this project is about $230 million. Those contractors have come in, and they're the ones, I mean, they're the generals, right? They're the ones kind of doing all the oversight and all the work. And how often do you get a report from them that says this is where we are?
Yeah. So this goes back to the way this was legislated. And this was legislated as a design build. Now that may not mean anything to most people, but what it means is it's being drafted and it's being designed and built at the same time. And it's not a matter of designing it, procuring everything, and then building it and watch your warranties all fade away and all your contractors fade away in the sunset. This method, it's being designed and built at the same time. Veterans United is an organization built of 5 or more major contractors in the states of Illinois and Missouri that won the bid on this project. And we have weekly, sometimes daily meetings, depending upon what the issue is. So we have standing meetings every week to go over the construction progress. We have newsletter for some of the safety items that are going on campus. And it's a good review that we put out to other agencies and state employees to let them know what's going on. And then we still are in discussions with the finer details right now of what's next. We're ordering supplies for a year and a half out. So this morning we were talking about bathroom tubs and bathroom toiletry items to make sure that we get the right style of facilities that we want.
Has the project been affected by the supply chains issues that seem to have whacked most of the country?
They have. I have to commend them early on. The Capital Development Board has been very good about allowing us and them to use area for storage. But yeah, we're seeing delay times. We saw windows that are 30 weeks out. 30 weeks, you're getting close to almost 9 months. So,
and I know that Veterans United they won the bid, and then once they received the bid, are they going out and bidding some of the smaller parts to other contractors, maybe local or regional contractors, or do they just then, once they got the bid, as long as they come in under bid, they can just go do whatever? How's that process work?
No, truthfully, those major players from East Peoria and in the St. Louis area, they don't have enough people to get this project done on schedule. So they have subbed out a lot of the concrete work. Some of the concrete work has been Water Cutty, Henson Robinson. A lot of local providers are in this project as well.
Well, and again, like I said, when this all came about and they got the funding for this, I know that was something. It was a very good sign that the state was making that commitment, because there was a lot of chatter when the Legionnaires issue started that, oh my God, they're just going to shut it down. It's going to be the easiest thing to do. But again, with the history and the tradition and the fact of its downstate location, I know a lot of people here worked very hard to make sure that facility stayed open. And I know you were involved in many of those discussions, because, like you said, you just sort of stepped in the fire when you took the job.
I remember that day clearly.
So, and then I guess it's not an apples to oranges or apples to apples again, because again, Legionnaires was very serious, and it was a physical issue with the facility. It needed to be taken care of. But then COVID came about, and it was a different animal. They probably were just both major dilemmas and problems, just each of their own making, I would imagine. Neither one was worse, or we unfortunately had lives lost in both of them. So you kind of look at that and say, okay, this was bad and this was bad. There's no really way to split hairs about it.
Yeah, we're still looking for the brighter days, but I think we're getting there as we get out of COVID, but I say that, and our transmission levels in the Quincy community are still relatively high right now. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, the Legionella actually helped us prepare for the COVID. The staff, through infection control and making sure that policies and procedures were up to date and in order. We were actually, I'll say, a little bit ahead of a lot of other players. With that said, COVID is something that has struck everybody. It struck us. It struck every long-term care facility that we know of across the state and across the nation. So there's no magic pill to keep this away.
No, that's very true. And I know, obviously, there are a lot of issues with, again, you are a state facility, so, with the vaccination and people wanted their own choices, but then there were some who wanted mandates. And I know that was a very trying time as well. So, but it's just good that, like I said, it looks like the worst is behind us, even though our transmission levels are creeping up again. But it seems like COVID is just going to be something that we're just going to have to learn to live with in some way, shape, or form.
It is. I see masks here to stay, and I can tell you at the veterans homes, we're still testing employees and residents twice a week.
Yeah, well, again, like I said, it's just something, especially because you're talking there about a group of your most susceptible people. So
yeah, we have to do everything we can to protect that population, and that's what we do in everything, sure. Whether it's Legionella or COVID or whatever the next one is going to be.
And again, just when you talk about the state and funding and people, how are the staffing levels out there as far as bringing in employers? Because I know bringing employees, because you, like everybody else, seems you always need people.
We do, and that's probably the overriding barrier, or it's probably the largest problem that our community and our region and our state is facing, and that's staffing. I mean, you can't go to any other healthcare agency or organization in this town or region without finding out what their biggest problem is. They'll tell you their big problem is staffing, staffing, and staffing. We're no different. We have those same issues. Fortunately, we do have some resources that we're able to use that have helped protect our veterans and keep us at a staffing level that is higher than most.
And of those positions, I assume, again, you are a healthcare facility, and all of our local healthcare providers have talked about that, whether it's nurses or CNAs or whatever. It's just trying to find, you want to find the best people possible, but then sometimes you're just trying to fill the positions. So it's always a fine line there because, again, you have someone who's going to come in and take care of these people who have meant so much to our nation. And then for them to come in and a new employee to come in, you still want to give top quality care.
This whole COVID issue has changed the culture of staffing and changed healthcare, because every employer wants to be the employer of choice. Everybody wants to provide that impactful, person-driven experience that we can provide in healthcare. But the money that has been thrown at this has changed the culture, and so a lot of the rates of pay have changed, and it's changed the staffing rates region-wide.
Last thing to wrap up on, let's just talk about access, because once upon a time you could just come in the vet's home, you could fish, you could go to the deer park, you could drop in and see people, but then again, with everything that's happened health-wise, what's the Veterans Home's policy these days when in terms of people who just want to come on and enjoy your campus or visit with the veterans?
Yeah, so access is a great one because like I said, we're trying to get some semblance of normalcy back and get through this isolation period and give our residents and our members a quality of life again. Give them dignity. I believe firmly that there's dignity in community involvement for them. So. Community members are obviously welcome to come on campus. Of course, the deer park is there. We have a couple new fawns out there. In the buffalo pen, we recently put a path around the buffalo pen so people can walk it. Access into the buildings now is able to be done. You can come and visit. Now, at the Veterans Home, we do ask for you to submit to a quick NAERS test, a quick sample test, just to ensure that you're not positive.
Sure.
It takes 15 minutes and it's very non-invasive. Some of the families, they have the opportunity to say, hey, I've already been vaccinated, or I've already been tested. But no, we do allow visitation. We also ask that everybody wears a mask.
Yeah, and again, I just don't think any healthcare provider still has the masks, and again, that's just not too much to ask, especially just because of you are a healthcare facility after all. So, yeah. Anything else you'd like to talk about before we let you get back to work?
One or two things
Sure.
that have still come to my mind back on the construction, especially something that the community is going to benefit from. When you brought up local contractors. We're getting ready to put out a multi-million-dollar art in architecture package. That's statutory through the state of Illinois that any state-funded building of such a revenue level will have art into their project. Well, ours meets that criteria. So they're going to be putting out bids for artists in the local area and the state to do millions of dollars worth of art in this project. So that's coming out. It'll be coming out here in the next few weeks.
Oh, great.
And we're excited about that. The second thing is the community also is going to get a chance to see what some of the plans. If you remember, back in 2017, we had the brainstorming where the community, came in and offered their thoughts and opinions.
Yes.
We're going to get to see the mock-up of the rooms that the residents are going to be able to live in. They're being built in Lippincott Hall as we speak. In the next 30-45 days, they'll be complete. So all of our residents in the community will be able to come out and see those, and we'll be putting something out about that when it's available.
Well, that's great. Like you said, a lot of good things going on out there, and Troy, I just want to thank you for stopping by.
Hey, thank you. Good to be here.
All right. That's Troy Culbertson with the Illinois Veterans Home. I'm Bob Goff for Muddy River News This Week, furnished by Harvey's. Have a great week.